In the headlines, Supreme Court dismisses PDP suit challenging double nomination of Kashim Shettima. Police deploy personnel to strategic locations, divert traffic in Abuja ahead of inauguration. Gunmen invade Imo community, kill monarch, one other. And on the foreign scene, militant Al-Shabaab group attacks Ugandan troops base in Somalia. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman. And now the news in detail. The Supreme Court has struck out a suit instituted by the opposition People's Democratic Party seeking disqualification of the Vice President-elect Kashim Shettima over alleged double nomination. The party sought the disqualification of Tinubu Shettima joint ticket for the 2023 presidential election on account of double nomination contrary to the provision of Electoral Act 2022. The appeal court was brought by the PDP through their counsel Mike Ozekome SAN, alleging that Shettima had double nomination as senatorial candidate for Borno Central Senatorial District and vice presidential candidate under the All Progressives Congress. But the Apex Court held that the PDP lacked the locus standi to bring the action since the party was not a member of the APC. The appeal was earlier dismissed by the Federal High Court and the Court of Appeal for lack of locus standi and a cost of 5 million naira against the PDP. Dissatisfied, the party approached the Apex Court. The PDP had asked the Apex Court to hear the matter on its merit and determine the grounds set for the suit. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo had on Thursday led Vice President-elect Kashim Shettima on a familiarization tour of the vice presidential wing in Aso Rock Presidential Villa, Abuja. Shettima will be sworn in as vice president on Monday, and the administration of Bola Tinubu will be inaugurated. Shettima told State House correspondents after the tour that he came to exchange ideas with his friend on how to move the nation forward.
The vice president, who is a friend, who is a contemporary, I came in just to exchange pleasantries and cross-pollinate ideas on how to move the nation forward. Beyond that, he took me around the offices out of courtesy, and I want to commend him, I want to thank him for extending that courtesy to me. Just cross-fertilization of ideas. I believe President Tinubu will hit the ground running from day one. We do not have the luxury of time. And I will be the vice president. I don't want to be presumptuous. I don't want to make loud proclamations. But my gut feeling and my interactions with him tends to show that we will hit the ground running from day one.
Ahead of the presidential inauguration scheduled for Monday, May 29, the Federal Capital Territory Police Command says it has deployed human and material resources across the nooks and crannies of the territory to ensure that the event is safe and peaceful. A statement issued on Friday morning by the command spokesperson, SP Josephine Ade, said the deployment consisting of all intelligence and tactical assets at the command's disposal is solidified with interagency collaboration. The statement said the move was born out of the need to avert any form of threat on the nation's democratic process. According to the PPRO, the strategic operational deployment is characterized by visibility, policing across the territory, stop and search duty, intelligence-led raids on black spots, surveillance, vehicular foot patrol, and diversions at strategic points, namely. She said the Commissioner of Police, FCT Command, Haruna Garba, equally alerted the residents of proposed fireworks scheduled to take place on the eve of the inauguration at the City Gate and the Millennium Tower to usher in the new administration. Borno State Governor Umar Zulum has dissolved the State Executive Council and boards of parastatals, as well as disengaged other political appointees to mark the end of his first term in office. The governor, during a valedictory session with the cabinet in Maiduguri, appreciated a cabinet for sacrifice, commitment, loyalty, and also sought for forgiveness for his hot-tempered approach in the course of running the administration. He observed that the first term was challenging because of the insurgency, but expressed satisfaction with the administration's agenda and efforts for the people of Borno State, whom he said the government enjoyed their support.
Under a very fragile environment, it's not easy. Working under this environment, it's not easy, especially during the year 2019, 2020, 2021. It has never been easy, battling with the insurgency. On this note, once again, I want to express my deep appreciation. And I'm a human being. In the course of discharging my duty as the chief executive of the state, I must have earned or offended some of you. And therefore, I do hope that you will forgive my shortcomings. On my own part, I think it is well known for almost all of you. Yes, many can say I'm somebody who is hot-tempered. That's my nature and I cannot do otherwise. But again, I don't go to my bed keeping somebody in my heart or in my mind.
The Delta State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Asaba has adjourned its pre-trial session till the 1st of June. Jonathan Awanyai reports that the Social Democratic Party candidate, Kenneth Gbagi, is challenging the election of Oborewori Sheriff as governor of Delta State.
The adjournment is to allow all parties to resolve all paper issues for hearing, as respondents 8, 9, and 10 in the suits were said not to have been served notice. Some lawyers described the plea of the SDP and its candidates to disqualify other candidates at the Delta State governorship election on March 18 as laughable. The SDP governorship candidate, Olorogu Kenneth Gbagi, who is also one of his party's legal representatives, was the only candidate that appeared in court for the pre-trial session.
I told you before, this is a petition against all the respondents which you have brought to court. PDP and their candidates, APC and their candidates, ABGA and its candidates, and then Labour Party and its candidates. So we commence the pre-trial session, and as it is, because the 8th, 9th, and 10th respondents were not served with notice, this pre-hearing could not continue, so it has been adjourned to the 1st of June for continuation of pre-hearing session.
The duty is on us to make sure we respect the judiciary. That's why we're here. And we've come here to pay our respect and show that, of course, we believe in the process.
I told you earlier that his petition is born out of mischief, because that is one of the grounds of his petition. So it should be noted the issue of qualification of Oborewori has passed through the gamut of judicial circle, from the Federal High Court, Court of Appeal, and up to the Supreme Court. And it was further reaffirmed by this very Federal High Court and Court of Appeal recently that his qualification is valid. It went through trial, proper trial, and they could not even lead any evidence to substantiate their allegations.
The tribunal sat at the Federal High Court too, Asaba, Delta State. Jonathan Awanyai for Trust TV News.
Moving on to security, gunmen have killed the traditional ruler of Osu Obodo in Oguta local government area of Imo State, Eze Victor Ijeoma. The traditional ruler was killed alongside the traditional prime minister of Isama of Mbele community in the council. Reports say the two traditional leaders were killed in two separate attacks and locations on Thursday evening. A source from Osu Obodo said that the killers accosted the traditional ruler at Umuamaka Junction in the neighboring Izombe town and slayed him inside his car, setting his body ablaze. The traditional prime minister of Ngbele, whose name was not available, was said to have been killed in his town. Residents of the two communities have fled their homes for fear of further attacks. Police Public Relations Officer ASP Henry Okoye told newsmen that he was yet to be briefed on the incident. The Lagos State Police Command has paraded 40 suspects for engaging in armed robbery, stealing, kidnapping, and cultism. The parade of the suspects took place at the police officers' mess in Ikeja. The report.
Parading the suspects, the command's public relations officer, Benjamin Hudenyi, said the command recovered 8 arms, 16 live ammunition, 6 vehicles, 1 mini yellow bus, and 1 motorcycle. Others are 2 axes, 9 generators, 7 TV sets, 2 grinding machine, 2 knives, 1 home theater, 27 phones, hard drugs, a bag of rice, and decomposing human hands.
We also have a case of conspiracy and armed robbery. These people specialize in attacking people in Ikorodu, and they've been able to cut away so many motorcycles, electronics, laptops, even cell phones. But we're able to swing into action and we recovered some of these things. We have some iPhone Pro Max, some iPhone 7, and some Samsung phones. They are also here. Conspiracy, this is a case of conspiracy, receiving of stolen property and stealing. So our operatives were able to arrest the trio of Emeka Kalu, 52 years of age, Emeka Jefferson, 46 years of age, and Christian Oda, age 35. This gang specializes in breaking into shops and stealing parked vehicles.
Udenyin further stated that their investigation also led to the arrest of a 74-year-old woman who is engaged in receiving and selling of stolen generators and other electronic items. The police public relations officer said the arrested suspected cultists came from Ikorodu area of the state.
We also have a case of conspiracy, kidnapping and unlawful possession of human arms. So we arrested these people with human arms. Right in Ikorodu, they were going on a motorcycle and the police, based on reasonable suspicion, accosted them. Immediately they sighted the police, they ran into the bush, but were able to follow in hot pursuit and were able to get them arrested and recovered the human arms. This happened in Ikorodu, and our investigation revealed that one of the suspects was actually our suspect some years back and was detained in our cell, but when NSAS happened, he escaped from the cell. So far back then during the NSAS protest, he escaped, but this time around, while committing another crime, he was arrested.
Udenyin said the Commissioner of Police in Lagos State, Idowu Owohunwa, has assured Lagosians that the command will do everything operationally possible to ensure that crime and criminality are brought to the barest minimum in the state.
Still in Lagos State, the state government on Thursday tendered 3 documents in evidence against 4 employees of Chrisland Schools charged with involuntary manslaughter of a 12-year-old student, Whitney Adeniran. Ademoye Adewale Kuku-Fatai, Belinda Amao and Victoria Nwatu are standing trial on a 2-count charge of involuntary manslaughter and reckless negligent acts at the Ikeja division of the Lagos High Court. The student, Adeniran, slumped and died during the school's inter-house sports at Agege Stadium on February 9th. The Director of Public Prosecutions, Babajide Martins, tendered the documents while leading Whitney's father, Adeyemi Adeniran, in evidence. Justice Oyedamola Ogala admitted the documents in evidence as there was no objection from the defense counsel. The deceased father told the court that his daughter left home on February 9, hale and hearty, for the school's inter-house sports. He said his wife was at the inter-house sports but was not informed that her daughter had been taken to a hospital when the alleged incident happened. The judge adjourned the case until June 1 for the continuation of cross-examination of the witness. You're watching Trust News Update. Coming up after the break. Dealing with unemployment monster. Do stay with us.
Now, as part of efforts to support Africa's goal of strengthening...
Now, looking at the activity chart, as you can see right here, a total volume of 130.
Created a Boko Haram crisis that at that time was restricted to Yobe.
How secured are they? You can see security men with blood.
This is the road leading up to the...
Already, if you look at English squad, you are looking at EPL, you are looking at their names. You are not looking at...
You're watching Trust News Update, coming up after the break. So, I beg your pardon. The highlights of the stories. Supreme Court dismisses PDP suits challenging double nomination by Kashim Shettima. You also heard that police deploy personnel to strategic locations, divert traffic in Abuja ahead of inauguration. Moving on to more stories. Adhering to occupational safety and preventing hazards at workplaces have been identified as enablers of workforce efficiency. Now, safety professionals and experts are therefore advocating for the provision of adequate safety guidelines, knowledge, skills, and facilities at every workplace. The report.
The relevance of occupational safety and health gave rise to the signing of the ISPON Act 2014 into law. The law is expected to demand safety standards from relevant agencies of government, institutions, and private organizations on regulation of the safety practice management in Nigeria.
The Act does not give us the power to penalize. So if I want to put it properly, I would say we are a corrective institution. Yeah, we go out there to tell you, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, but you can do this. And that's why, while we are talking to people also, we let them know that safety is your personal responsibility.
One thing we also need to understand is it's not just putting the measures in place, but understand why these measures are put in place. And so to a large extent, there's need for them to be properly trained to understand what these safety measures we're talking about is all about, so you can safeguard them, so they can do the right thing once they have the right information and the right knowledge. And so as simple as taking care of your immediate environment where you work.
When you talk of safety, it's about life. You cannot talk of life without safety. There's no life without safety. That is number one. Secondly, when you think about keeping healthy life, is living through natural ways, through scientific ways, through medication and all that.
These safety professionals say advocacy is key through knowledge sharing, training and implementation to ensure maximum outcomes in workplace.
If you are healthy, you will do well. I remember those days I used to work in a production firm where we work with machines. Because I know a lot of people had issues with those machines and it affected their work span. You understand? It affected their life to a large because they couldn't do much.
We organize what we call the Professional Development Conference once every year, where we invite everybody and we bring out very, very serious and very, very critical issues that affect safety. We have some institutions where we actually have safety as a program that is being taught and you have degrees there.
Sometimes people are forced to be doing things they don't have the capacity to do, so it puts a lot of pressure on them.
They called on government agencies, institutions, private organizations, national and multinational firms to employ safe procedures irrespective of the cost or burden on its finances. This, they said, is better than having to spend more on the consequences of not putting safety measures in place. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Unemployment has been identified as a major problem in Nigeria and her quest to become a developed nation. Experts who spoke in Makurdi identified some of the causes of unemployment as they also advanced solutions. The report.
In 2002, the World Bank reported that Nigeria is home to a large share of the global extreme poor, making her the poverty capital of the world. This is to a great extent due to lack of jobs. According to economists, the rising rate of unemployment in Nigeria is a ticking time bomb.
Nigeria is faced with a high level of unemployment. As of 2022, the unemployment rate in Nigeria is put at 37.7%, which is so alarming and it calls for concern. And a lot of reasons are responsible for this. And these reasons are classified at the governmental level, personal individual levels, and societal level.
We have people questioning whether universities or training institutions are doing enough or not. I think the training institutions, the tertiary institutions are doing enough. The only thing is that they do not have places where they can operate. They can apply their skills. So if you make claim that the universities are not doing enough, is it that people who get employed in certain places are unproductive?
They blame governments at all levels for failing to provide an enabling environment for private businesses to thrive.
It is because of the lack of desire to work for money. And also some persons are incapacitated, because of financial resources, because for individuals to operate, they need some finances. But elsewhere, those grants and then subsidies are available for people to leverage who are willing to venture into some of these productive activities.
Government is not encouraging businesses. You start up a small business, and as you are starting, you have so many group of persons coming up with claiming so many tax rights over you that you must pay tax. And some of these things, they discourage the youth. So it's even better to form groups to be collecting taxes than even establishing a business.
They further said the youth should be more focused and have set goals, as many have failed to utilize what they have learned through school.
Young people are supposed to be in the farm. You see them sitting drinking joints, expecting politicians to come and give them money to drink. That is unacceptable. When we were growing up, you woke up, you go to the farm, or you identify a trade, selling or kerosene and some of these minor businesses you do, and they will earn you income.
We cannot say completely that every graduate is employable. That one too is a truth, because the way our institutions are tailored now, there are lapses. So because of these weaknesses, we have some people who scale through the university system without being even qualified.
It is left to be seen how the incoming government addresses the unemployment crisis in Nigeria.
On the foreign scene, the militant Al-Shabaab group on Friday morning carried out an attack on a Ugandan troops base of the African Union Transition Mission in Bullo Marie district in Lower Shabelle region in Somalia. The attack began shortly after morning prayers, and it started with a large explosion believed to be an explosives-laden vehicle. Bullo Marie is about 110 kilometers from the capital, Mogadishu. Residents reported that after the big explosion, 2 more explosions occurred in the camp before a fight started between the Ugandan troops and the attackers. Al-Shabaab say they captured the camp and killed dozens of ATMIS soldiers, but there has been no independent confirmation of the group's claim. ATMIS says its forces are currently assessing the security situation in the area, but no word yet from the Somali government regarding the attack. Ugandan Army spokesperson Felix Kulayige told Kenya's Daily Nation that the military was probing the attack. He blamed foreign insurgents for the raid without giving further details. The actual damage caused by the attack is not yet known. And finally, in sports, Flying Eagles head coach Ladan Bosso is expected to make changes in his starting lineup for Saturday's Group D clash against Brazil. Bosso's Eagles are already through to the round of 16 after victories against Dominican Republic and Italy. Brazil bounced back from their opening game defeats to Italy with a comprehensive 6-0 bashing of Dominican Republic. The Flying Eagles top the ground with 6 points, while Brazil and Italy are second and third with 3 points each. Both teams can still topple Nigeria on the standings, but Bosso is unperturbed with the possibility. The encounter against Brazil, billed for Estadio Único Diego Maradona in La Plata, will start at 7 p.m. Nigerian time. And with that, we've come to the end of Trust News Update. Don't forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman. Thanks for watching.